Coming up on Sports Tonight, yikes, an ugly loss in Baltimore to the Ravens, and as season openers go, it was about as bad as it could get.
Sometimes a wake-up call is pretty good for everybody. A nice punch in the mouth.
The voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan, stops by with his take on the team and what they'll need to fix before the Bengals come to town.
And all of a sudden in week 2, it's a must-win.
We'll take a look around the rest of the AFC North. And it just wasn't Cleveland's day as the Twins bust out the brooms to complete a sweep and hand the Tribe their 6th straight loss. All right, everybody, cheese. Sports Tonight starts now.
Shotgun, Mayfield, third down. He throws over the middle. It's deflected and tipped around and picked off. As it's picked off on the play by Marlon Humphrey. Here's Jackson, play action fake, back to pass, throws in the end zone, and a leaping catch by Mark Andrews. Touchdown, Ravens. Shoved the running back. Mayfield stumbles. He throws into the corner of the end zone. Touchdown! David Njoku wide open in the left corner of the end zone. Jackson on a give to Dobbins off the right side, and he will go in. Touchdown, Ravens. His second of his career and the day. And it's a runaway train here in Baltimore.
The voice of the Browns, our own Jim Donovan, describing what was an ugly scene in Baltimore today. Thanks so much for joining us here on Sports Tonight, brought to you by Union Home Mortgage. I'm Nick Camino, and we've got plenty to dive into. Week 1 of the NFL season. The Indians continue to struggle, but we start with the Browns. Their Week 1 game against the Ravens. Here we go. Our game of the day brought to you by Brunswick Auto Mart. Car buying made truly simple. So the first quarter was truly a microcosm of the entire game. Baker Mayfield throwing an interception on the very first drive. He threw 21 picks last season, and it led to this. Lamar Jackson finding Mark Andrews in the back of the end zone for 6. Baltimore rolls the rest of the way, handing the Browns a 38-6 loss. Here's Jarvis Landry following the game.
Now is not a time for us to, start thinking about last season or thinking about anything else. We came, we played our hardest. We didn't win this one, and we get an opportunity to play in a couple of days for another one. It's a long season. We can't define everything by this first one.
Unfortunately, it's been the same old story for the Browns. 120-1 is their record in openers since they came back in 1999. A 16-game winless streak. Unreal. Last, you look at and Kevin Stefanski, 11th straight loss as for a head coach making his debut. It's been bad for the Browns in openers. All right, let's check in with the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan. He called the game today on the radio. He has seen all of these openers since the Browns came back in 1999. Let's check in with Jimmy on the game and what the Browns have looking forward.
Opening day for the Browns in Baltimore. A disaster, no doubt about it, right across the board. Offensively, defensively, and special teams, which were a complete disaster in the game. Add it all up, and the Ravens end up blowing out the Browns easily, 38-6. And whereas we thought that this was going to be a very competitive AFC North division, that yes, the Ravens are a great team, and yes, the Steelers have Big Ben back, and then we're getting better and better, boy, there have to be some doubts after this performance on opening day.
It's hard to say we did anything well. Okay, we only scored 6 points, and that's not good enough in the National Football League. So I would just say we got to get right back on it. We got to find out what happened and why it went wrong and get to some solutions here because we got a game coming Thursday night.
I just think the makeup of this team, there's a different attitude about it. We're going to watch this film, get it out of our system. And that's the good thing about having a short week is we don't have time to dwell on it. We'll watch it, realize where we went wrong, correct those mistakes, and move on to Cincinnati.
The Browns offensively were scattered and all over the board and in love with throwing the ball to Odell Beckham Jr., and he did not reward them for that favor. Also, defensively, the Browns were out of position all day long, and that's a real concern with young linebackers and the secondary wiped out through injuries. And guess what? They don't have a lot of time to fix things. Thursday night, the Bengals come to town. And all of a sudden, in week 2, it's a must-win. Ravens beat the Browns 38-6. I'm Jim Donovan, Channel 3 Sports.
Great stuff, Jimmy. Well, when it comes to today's loss, I mean, we can point fingers all over the place. You can look at the offense, you can look at the defense, but how about the special teams unit? Just brutal the entire game when you think about special teams in this game. Missed extra points, you had missed field goals, a fake punt that failed miserably and took nobody by surprise. Again, we can really point all over the place for a game like this, but the special teams were just bad. That's, if I'm giving out a loser of the day, that is it. The special teams group for sure. All right, we told you about the interception on the very first drive for Baker Mayfield. He didn't throw another one after that, but he just wasn't all that sharp. 21 of 39 through the air for just 189 yards. He did throw one touchdown, but he was overthrowing a lot of guys, just not on point.
Sometimes a wake-up call is pretty good for everybody. A nice punch in the mouth, and that's how we should take it. We should, not dwell on it. Realize that we just got beat today. They played better than us. Look at it and get better, move on, and go play the Bengals. That's all we can do.
How about Odell Beckham Jr.? My gosh, I mean, he was practically non-existent for the Browns. He only had 3 receptions for 22 yards, multiple drops. He had the one play where he had stepped out of bounds and then never reestablished himself, so it wasn't a catch. It was bad. I mean, Baker targeted him 10 times. Not a good day for OBJ.
Through those times where, I did target him, there was some defensive penalties. So I would say that had something to do with it. But I got to be better. Give him a chance on some of those things, like the free play late in the game. Just give him a chance. That he's a great player, so I got to give him a chance.
Our player of the day brought to you by Mr. Hero. We hate to do this, but we got to give it to Baltimore Ravens tight end Mark Andrews. He was all over the field. He finished with 5 receptions for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, you could tell Lamar Jackson very comfortable going to his tight end, especially near the end zone.
There's a lot of chemistry going on, but again, there was a lot of mistakes, a lot of things that we got to correct. And if we want to be the best, we want to get to where we want to go. We got to get better. And so I know we're going to. We've got a lot of great guys in this locker room, and I'm excited for it.
All right, joining us now from the Chronicle Telegram, Browns beat writer Scott Petrak. And Scott, where do we start? I think I've run out of adjectives on how to describe this one. Ugly, bad, whatever words you want to throw in. But I mean, what did you make of all that? Yes, the Ravens are a good team, and yes, it's only week 1, Scott, but there was just so much bad in this first game.
Yeah, you're right, Nick, and that's the problem. I think we knew with Kevin Stefanski, a new system, new coaching staff, no preseason, that there would be bumps in the road and hiccups, but we didn't expect so many mistakes and so early and preventable mistakes. A lot of face mask penalties. We saw 2 missed kicks. We saw a 1st and 10 from the 29 go to a 3rd and 41. I mean, they just had mistake after mistake after mistake. And that's a bad sign for a new coach. And obviously it's not going to work against a team like the Ravens.
Baker Mayfield, just your thoughts on his performance and Odell Beckham Jr., Scott, he seemed like non-existent out there.
Yeah, Baker, he starts with an interception, right? He threw 21 last year. He knows he needs to protect the ball better. And the first drive of the game, they get a couple first downs. He throws an interception. Terrible sign. And I felt like he didn't look really comfortable in the pocket again today. And that was an issue last year. And I don't know if it's, the Ravens have big linemen, but it just looked like he was hesitant to go with the ball sometimes. And then Odell, 10 targets, 3 catches, 22 yards, has a big drop on a 3rd and 2 at the end of the half that changes the game, right? I mean, the Ravens probably win anyway, but the Browns got a chance to go cut the deficit to single digits. He drops it. Seibert misses a field goal. Ravens go 69 yards in 35 seconds. Game over.
Scott, I thought that this team was thin at linebacker. I don't think that we could have ever seen it more so in today's game. I mean, Lamar Jackson and that offense, they pretty much did whatever they wanted.
Yeah, the middle of the field felt like it was wide open all the time. And we saw it on the Mark Andrews touchdown to start the game. We saw it on another Mark Andrews touchdown to end the first half. And that, to me, it's all about linebackers and it's about safeties. And that's the two positions that I was worried about going into the season. The Ravens are a tough matchup because they run it so well and they have good tight ends. So you have to play a lot of three linebackers. That's tough for a team that doesn't have a lot of linebackers. So they need Mack Wilson to get back as soon as possible. It's not going to happen by Thursday, I would assume. So a thin linebacker core got even thinner today.
Scott, I got to tell you, I feel weird saying it's a must-win game going into Thursday night against the Bengals, but it sure is close.
Well, yeah, it feels like that. And I know exactly what you're saying because I expect the struggles to continue, right? Early in the season, new staff, everything we talked about. So you got to keep your head above water, and that means staying around 500. That means you got to beat a Bengals team at home with the rookie quarterback. And even week 3, you got Washington coming to town. Those are 2 winnable games in a tough schedule. I think you got to get as many wins early as possible to kind of right the ship.
Scott, great stuff. Really appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nick.
Our sports flashback brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Great furniture, great prices. The Browns, their NFL record continues. They have not won a season opener since 2004. Remember this? They beat the Ravens in the opener 20-3. Look at Jeff Garcia out there throwing for and rushing for a touchdown. That was pretty cool. And then in the win, Phil Dawson kicking 2 field goals. That's the good old days. I wish Phil Dawson was still around right now, right? Well, the number 1 overall pick in the draft, Joe Burrow, made his NFL debut today. Next up for Burrow, a trip to Cleveland in prime time. We'll give you a sneak peek at what the Browns defense has in store on Thursday. Hey, so how about this? Today, the voice of the Browns, our own Jim Donovan, alongside his partner, Doug Deacon. You see them there. This was in the radio booth. They called the game on the radio from First Energy Stadium using the network video feed. The game, obviously, in Baltimore, but you wouldn't know it. They sounded great. It's crazy because they called the game from a completely different stadium. You wouldn't have known it listening. Jimmy said that's the first time he's ever had to do that. That's pretty wild. Well, the Browns faced a really good quarterback today in Lamar Jackson, but as Pat Chiesa tells us, there's more than just one good quarterback in the AFC North that the Browns are going to have to deal with.
Nick, as we look at the rest of the AFC North, the Browns will be facing 2 quarterbacks that they didn't have to worry about last year. First overall pick, Joe Burrow of the Bengals, and future Hall of Famer Ben Roethlisberger of the Steelers. Let's start with the pride of Athens, OHIO. Burrow making his NFL debut against the Chargers today. Late first quarter, Burrow taking off on the designed run, gets a nice block, and he's into the end zone for Cincy's first touchdown of the season, but it was all downhill from there for the rookie. In the third, Burrow just flat out misses a wide open A.J. Green for what would have been an easy 6 points. Then with 5 minutes left to play, Joe Burrow's shovel pass picked off by Melvin Ingram. Bengals lose 16-13. Afterwards, Burrow said he just did not bring his A game today.
I mean, I can't miss that one to A.J. That's, a high schooler can make that throw, and then I can't throw the ball right to Melvin Ingram and give them the ball back when we're in scoring range. So, tough way to lose.
As for that other QB, Big Ben and the Steelers open their season on the road tomorrow night against the Giants. It'll be the 38-year-old's first game back since suffering a season-ending elbow injury 363 days ago. Now, the Browns won't face the Steelers until week 6, but Burrow and the Bengals coming to the lakefront in just 4 short days for a little Thursday night football. For 3 Sports, I'm Pat Chiesa.
Great stuff, Pat. Look at this. Tom Brady not in a Patriots uniform. The 43-year-old making his debut with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady rushing for a touchdown, but then he struggled a bit. Throws the pick 6 here, and the Saints roll over the Bucs 34-23. The Indians, they lose again. Make that 6 straight. When's the last time they spiraled out of control with 6 losses in a row? We'll tell you about that coming up. You're watching Sports Tonight here on Channel 3. Our pitching performance report, it's brought to you by Union Home Mortgage. I love watching Tristan McKenzie pitch. I really do, but the right-hander, he struggled today. He went just 4 1/3 innings pitched, gave up 3 hits and 5 runs, his first loss in the majors. And I still think the Indians can make the expanded MLB playoffs. I mean, you're going to have so many teams that are making it, but they're struggling right now. I mean, 6 straight losses. They sit 3rd in the AL Central Division. This has been a struggle. It's not the time you want to struggle. The Minnesota Twins scoring 7 runs today, topping the Indians 7-5 at Target Field. The Indians, right now, if the playoffs started, they would be the 7th seed in the American League for these expanded playoffs, but it's just they're sputtering right now. So a 6-game losing streak, their first since 2015.
Losing 6 in a row is definitely no fun, but I feel like we're in a good spot mentally, and I think the off day will kind of help us kind of reset and get back going, especially going into the series in Chicago.
All right, here's a look at your Central Division standings. White Sox and Twins at the top here. We'll see what happens. Coming up next, it was a tough weekend watching college football, and we didn't have the Ohio State Buckeyes. Isn't that kind of weird? When we come back, we've got the very latest on if and when the Big Ten will be back in action. Stay right there. Our high school football play of the week. Watch Hoban running back Markham McKinney against Benedictine. He dodges 3 would-be tacklers, somehow stays in bounds, and he scores a 42-yard touchdown. And that's a big play. The Knights win by 7. Well, hey, big update for you on the Big Ten. According to reports, chancellors and presidents from schools in the Big Ten are going to meet. No vote yet on if there is going to be a Big Ten season. Thanks so much for joining us here on Sports Tonight. Have a great week and stay safe out there.